Like I said last week, is that the Supreme Court itself has said in Adegoke's case that it is final in the sense of all finality. Not because it is infallible. It is infallible because it is final. So that means that the Supreme Court itself accepts that it can make mistakes because they are human beings. To that extent, we cannot quarrel with the Supreme Court working so much under pressure with all these high-flight election petition cases. Today, for example, we had about 16 issues distilled for determination. About 18 issues, but only one issue was actually gone into. For example, we had won an interlocutory appeal on this matter before the same Supreme Court on the 23rd of September last year, which the tribunal ignored, which the Court of Appeal ignored, and which we brought before the Supreme Court. That issue was not pronounced upon at all. For example, today we cited the case which was decided in last week, Tuesday, on the 14th, Hope Uzodinma against INEC, where a PW54, a DCP, Hussein, brought some electoral materials to the court, dumped them, and said he did not even know anything about them. The Supreme Court accepted the evidence bordering on 388 polling units. I gave the votes to Uzodinma. We used that case today, we cited that case to say the evidence of PW1 that was discarded. That PW71 that was discarded, who was actually a head of department, logistics and operations of INEC, should be brought back because he testified and he spoke to the documents from EC 8A and EC 8D and INEC registers, that he spoke to them. He was indeed cross-examined on them. But nothing was said about that today. So we cannot say that the Supreme Court does not know what it's doing because it is the last court. But one good thing about it is that there were two appeals. We had one. Governor Lalong also had his own cross appeal. Our appeal was dismissed. His own cross appeal was also dismissed. So I would say it was 1-1. 1/1. But we thank God for safe landing. But one thing I want to make clear is that the entire electoral jurisprudence of Nigeria needs to be changed. We need to do something very, very drastic. We must bring back Uwe's electoral reform, committee report for us to look at it, even the one headed again by the former Senate President, Senator Ken Nnamani, to see how we can rejig the electoral process and then bring in, electronic voting and electronic counting and electronic transfer of records, so that results are not manipulated from the polling unit to the ward level, to the local government level, to the state level, then to the federal level. As it is today, the provisions of the Electoral Act are heavily weighed and loaded against a petitioner. And that is why you see politicians, whenever elections are going on, they just tell their followers, just do anything you do. The important thing is that we must first win. When we win, let us meet at the court. Because they know that the obstacles that are legally and constitutionally mounted against a petitioner are overwhelming and gargantuan. So I think beyond these election petitions, the National Assembly needs to take a critical hard look at our electoral laws with a view to reforming them. Because we can't go on like this. We are having a situation where governors, where senators, where House of Representatives members, where councillors, where chairmen of local governments, and even where presidents are being incubated and delivered by the courts to the electorates, contrary to the wishes of the Nigerian people. I think something should be done to allow votes to be counted and for the votes to count. For as long as we continue on this path, I can tell you Nigeria is not enjoying true democracy, which as defined in 1783 by Abraham Lincoln in his Gettysburg Declaration, is government of the people, for the people, and by the people. I do not see this Electoral Act or INEC midwifing that.
Sir, before you go, there have been protests concerning Imo elections. Do you think the Supreme Court can have a review regarding Imo?
Well, the Supreme Court can only review a decision on what you call the slip rule when there is an error, not in terms of the substance, because it's there in the Supreme Court rules that they don't review their decisions.